Tuesday, January 19th, and another focus on fundamentals. So I've been thinking over the last few weeks, what could we do for some videos for this month? And then it hit me, you guys have been asking me a lot of questions lately about quilt sizes. So I thought, well, let's just answer some of your questions that we get from time to time. So one of the questions that I get a lot is, how big of a quilt can I make from a charm pack? How big of a quilt can I make from a layer cake? So I thought today I'd give you a little, some diagrams on how big your quilts can be and what they might look like. Okay? So let's start with charm packs. So a charm pack normally has 42 squares. So the biggest size that you can make is 6 across by 7 down. And that's just if you sewed them straight together. No sashing, no nothing. Your quilt would be 30 by 35. Okay? Well, that's okay if you want a baby quilt. But let's say you want to make it a little bit bigger. Now what do I do? Well, if you add just a 1-inch sashing in between all your squares, you'd end up with about a 35 by 41 size quilt. Okay, and that's good. We're getting there. We're getting bigger. What if we, and the reason, I was going to do this again with 2.5-inch sashing, but when I did it, it was way too big, way overpowering. So in my personal opinion, if you're using 5-inch squares, 1-inch sashing is more than enough. Okay, so let's add some borders. How about let's add a 2.5-inch border? Well, now we are at 40 by 46. That's a good lap size for a child, a good charity quilt size, and it makes a nice looking quilt. Okay, your borders are proportionate to your block. Okay, if they go bigger, it's going to look way out of control. Okay, so that would be a nice size. So just because I printed one out with 5-inch borders, and you can see it's very large in relationship to your quilt, but if you do some applique in this border, maybe some vines and flowers and things like that, you need a wider border. So you could do that, and that would make your quilt 45 by 51. Okay, so that's a thought. So these are all things that you can do with your 5-inch square charm packs with just some sashing and some borders to get them a little bit bigger. Okay? Hope that helps that. Let's try the same thing with 10-inch squares or a layer cake. So if you have, I don't know how to write today, 60 by 7. How about 60 by 70? Again, 6 by 7. Would be the largest that you could do if you just sew them together straight. Okay. If you add a 1-inch sashing in between all your blocks, we're getting bigger. We have 65 by 76. Okay. It's a nice little border. That would work. What happens if you add 2.5-inch sashing? Now we're getting some substance here. We've got a 72.5 by 85. Much bigger quilt. We're working on a twin size. Okay, so that's good proportions as well. And I threw in a 5-inch border on this one, and that made it 86.5 by 95. So you've got a good size quilt. You're working on a full queen topper, and everything is proportionate. And when I say proportionate, you don't want your sashings to be too big or too tiny. You want them in proportion to the size of your block, something that's divisible by the size of your block. So like in the 5-inch square example, 2.5 would probably be the biggest that you would go. 2.5 is half of 5. Okay, here 5 is half of our 10. I like it. It works. Proportionate. Our sashing is 2.5. That works, right? So these are just some examples of what you can do with charm packs and layer cakes, and how you can make them a little bit bigger if you want to create a bigger size quilt. And I do have charts and things here as well. So if you're interested in more information on how to get these done, how to make them bigger, just let me know. I can mail them to you. You come in and pick them up, whatever you'd like to do. And I think in the next few weeks, we are going to work on borders. People have asked about borders. Not necessarily on quilts, but maybe borders for panels. What can you do to spruce up those quilts, those panels? So we're going to work on some border ideas for you, and we'll have some of those next week. So until then, you guys have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.